place where 1 out of every 5 people on the planet lives. It is the fastest growing economy in the world. It is already the second largest economy in the world. It is likely to become the largest economy by some measures in 10 or 15 years. So China has a huge impact on the world. Anything that happens in the world at this point can be traced back in some way or the other to what's going on in China. High oil prices, Chinese demand. High copper prices, Chinese demand. The ability for the United States to run these kind of big deficits and debts, that has something to do with the ability of the Chinese to finance those deficits.
So what does that mean on the street to middle-class Americans and small business people? Drew Greenblatt is the president of Marlin Steel Wire Products. His company is based in Baltimore, Maryland. And Drew, you have a lot riding on this visit. Thanks for joining us, by the way.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it. What do you hope that President Obama says to the Chinese president?
That's a great question. I think that President Obama should encourage the Chinese government to produce changes so that we can grow more amicably in the future. For example, right now, China manipulates their currency. It's very challenging for American factories to compete in China because their prices are so much cheaper because their government subsidizes their goods.
So because they're undervaluing their currency, the yuan, that makes the Chinese products cheaper to buy, and because the dollar is worth so much more, it makes American goods much more expensive. I know that you export, you make wire baskets, the best damn wire baskets in the world, if I recall, and you export them all around the world. Does that include China?
Right, but we're only exporting a very modest amount to China, and it's a huge opportunity for us. And if we could level the playing field, we would hire more people in America to provide wire baskets and wire forms to China. But what's happening is there's so many challenges that they make for American factories that it's very difficult to export to China.
I know the Senate is pushing legislation to impose tariffs on country or other types of punishments for countries who manipulate their currency. Are you all for that?
Well, I'm hoping that the Chinese government will make sure their currency floats like the Mexican peso does, like the Canadian dollar does, like the euro does. I'm hoping that the Chinese government takes a more mature approach to their currency, and we don't have to get into a trade war. I don't want a trade war with China. I want to sell more to China. There's other challenges. They also provide a rebate when they export to America. We get no rebate from our government when we export to China. They also do not honor our intellectual property. American companies, the reason why we're thriving and we're growing is because we have so many innovative concepts, and we need intellectual property protection.
Okay,
and
well,
China has to start obliging by that.
Let me get into that a little bit with you, because you have engineers on site at your company that you pay bigger bucks to than the Chinese pay to their workers, right? And they come up with these wire baskets that fit all kinds of things. So that's intellectual property, right? So how are you protecting your products from the Chinese?
Well, this is a challenge, because what happens is they're knocking us off. And we come up with a really innovative idea, a slick idea, and then we get knocked off, and it makes it very...
So glamorous. So...
is not very friendly to an American lawsuit against their against a Chinese factory stealing our property. So this has to be changed. This is something that President Obama can do today, and tell the president of China that he has to start honoring intellectual property, because that makes it competitive for America. See, we pay our guys 15, 20, 25 bucks an hour. In China, they pay them 30 cents an hour.
Right.
So we're not going to beat them because we have cheap prices. We're going to beat them because we have really clever, innovative concepts.
Okay,
and we need our president to protect us.
I want to leave on an up note, because you're doing wonderful things with your company in Baltimore. You're making money, you're hiring new people, and you're doing it by exporting goods. So give me the American dream speech. Give it to me, Drew.
Well, this is the plan. They have 300 million middle class. We want to sell to them. We want to sell to their factories that need wire baskets. And we need our system to modify, and they need to modify so that we can be competitive over there. And then we're going to hire more people in America to sell wire baskets into China. That's what we're striving for. And by that, we'll reduce our unemployment because we're going to grow so much because we export so much to China. That's the plan. That's what we need to do to grow us out of this recession.
We're with you. Drew Greenblatt, thanks so much. Drew Greenblatt of Marlin Steel in Baltimore. We appreciate your insight.
Thank you.
In the next hour of Newsroom, we'll talk to the mayor of Toledo, Ohio, who says he could not be more optimistic about what President Hu's visit could mean for his city. All this week, we are focusing on China. Tomorrow, Chinese culture and human rights. We'll take a look at parenting styles. No TV or play dates, nothing less than an A in school. Too strict or good parenting. Let's also look at China's human rights record. Several members of Congress are calling for greater freedoms in that communist nation. On Thursday, military ambitions. China has increased its military spending in the last decade. We'll explore what this means for relations in the United States right here in the Newsroom. And you're online, and we are too. We're keeping an eye on all the stories trending on the web. And one of the most popular right now, scientists say they will clone a prehistoric animal. I'm saying, wow.